Hello! We made it. It's Wednesday, and it's Facebook Live. It's Kate Richburg and Emily Miller live from Redwood City, from beadshop.com. All right. Well, we've got...
It's only been a week since we were here last.
Right?
Man, it feels like it was like yesterday.
I know. It's been really super crazy and super busy, and we are really excited to share an amazing project with you guys today. I am pulling this up here just to make sure that we're going and you're going. All right. So we're going to be doing Memory Wire today, which I love. It's a favorite of Janice's, I know. It's a favorite of ours, we know.
I do like it. I mean, sometimes I'm kind of high-tech, but sometimes the sort of low-tech thing works really well.
Yeah.
I guess I'm more friendly with it than with elastic.
Yeah.
Because it's sturdier.
Well, and it kind of has that immediate gratification, too. And I like the kind of vintage flair that it has as well, which is good. And there we go. So, before we jump into the Memory Wire, we have a few things to go over. How are we looking, ladies? Okay? We good?
Yep. Got all of our friends online with us, on board?
Great. We had a fantastic, or Janice had a fantastic weekend last weekend.
She looked like she was having so much fun with everybody.
Right, wasn't it? Her beat up, it was really great. And if you haven't checked out videos that Janice put on, you know, she was supposed to go live from the beat up, but sometimes going live doesn't always work out, as we find out.
Live is tricky.
Yes,
sometimes,
it is tricky.
You know.
So, but she did a great video on measuring.
On lengths.
Yeah, on lengths, which was really fun.
It made me grab my phone and look at the picture, because she did my lengths while we were at the retreat.
Yeah.
And it was really nice, actually, to have that. And it was kind of a nice little sort of... I wrote it down, and then I took a picture of my phone. So
that's very smart.
Because I'll lose it.
Yeah. Mine's sitting by my desk. I'm waiting to lose it.
Yeah.
So, no, it was great.
We should make a little business card or something with the...
write
your numbers on... Your key numbers on the back.
Right. It's a good idea. So if you haven't watched that, you guys, you might want to jump in. It was really fun. And there's also some photos of the projects that people brought and
everybody working along.
Yeah, it was really fun. Well, Janice and I were talking about January, when she's out here in January, that we might do one at my studio. That's what we were thinking.
Let's do it.
Yeah, so, but it's just an idea for now. But those of you who are on our coast, we may do something over here in January. So keep your ears tuned. You know how we do. We think of an idea and then we make it happen.
Execute.
So that's right. So who have we got? Gracie?
We had a bunch of people, and they said the volume was great.
Oh, good, good, good. I love that.
We have all of our regulars: Christine, Melanie, Trish, Ginger, Kim.
Yay.
Janice says hello, your mom.
Alrighty, everybody's here.
Faye
Great.
is here.
Hello, everyone. So know that you guys, when you're watching us live, we start off with a little bit of business, a little bit of house cleaning and stuff, right? Housekeeping, I guess. But if you are watching this later on our YouTube channel, on our Facebook channel, or on our YouTube channel, you can always slide that slider in about 15 minutes or so-ish, and that's when the instruction, I guess, or the real excitement starts. Yeah. So if you're here to get the project, just slide that over to about minute marker 15.
Plus, it's been a week since we saw you, so we have some catching up to do.
Yeah, we've got a lot to catch up on. We've got, for next week, we've got our Facebook Live. You're going to be going solo.
I know. Well, I am, unless Grace wants to jump in and sit with me.
Yeah, which hopefully she will.
Yeah, good. Because it'll be really fun. We're going to do some, one of my favorite techniques. You know, Kate talks about wire, and I kind of fall into thread camp with Janice.
Well,
sorry.
Someone has to.
I know. I side with Janice in this case. So I really love knotting between beads. So that could be pearls, it could be gemstones, it could be glass, whatever. But I love the fluidity that you get from it. How it's fairly easy and repetitive. So it's something I do fairly often when I just have a strand of beads I want to put on. I noticed that you were doing a little work this morning on some knotting there.
A little bit of knotting is a little precursor to what you're going to be doing.
So we're going to do a nice knotting project and talk about knotting different types of beads, pearls, gemstones, glass, and have some samples and stuff. So.
And, you know, we've done before on Facebook Live doing some knotting, but we've kind of stuck to the realm of pearls. But you're going to talk a little bit about like different knotting with different sizes and different stuff. So it'll be really great. So it'll be a great pearl knotting refresher. You're also going to be using end tips, all kinds of cool stuff. So I think you guys will really find it super helpful. Then next week, I'm going to be gone. I'm going to be traveling the world. Actually, not the world.
Glamorous.
The life of a bead maven is so glamorous.
Where are you going to be in Ohio?
What we're going to do, that's right, it's super glamorous. We're going to be shooting our episodes of Beads, Baubles, and Jewels, and some of you may already watch Beads, Baubles, and Jewels. It's a great show on PBS hosted by our buddy Katie Hacker, and I do some stints on there. And this time we're filming some really great stringing projects and stuff that I think you guys are really going to love. The episodes will air probably in 2018. Because, you know, like TV, you work a little bit early, then it gets released, but I think it'll be 2018, and we'll have the release dates for this series.
Maybe we'll have a watch party.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Right?
Yeah, and if you go to the Beads, Baubles, and Jewels website, you can hear more about it and stuff like that. But Janice is meeting me in Ohio, so the two of us are going to be there together, and she's going to get the experience of how it is to
dynamic
film.
duo.
Yeah, it'll be really fun. So we'll be doing some Facebook Lives from me filming, and that'll be next Tuesday, and we'll have more info in your newsletters as well. But we'll give you guys a little sneak peek behind the scenes, and I don't even know who else is going to be there.
Oh, and who's you going to run into?
Yeah,
right?
I have no idea. So I'll be filming, and probably 3 or 4 other people will be filming as well. So it'll be a surprise to me as well as you guys. So who knows what we'll come up with?
Who are you going to run into in the green room?
That's right, in the green room. Before we go on.
And makeup.
That's right, in makeup. And being in makeup is actually the makeup artist at Beads, Baubles, and Jewels. She's amazing. Awesome. It's one of my favorite things to do. Yep, Gracie, we've got a question.
It's actually not a question. I just wanted a quick shout out to Lisa, who said that she's been busy making ornaments for Christmas that you taught at the retreat, and she's addicted to making these beaded ornaments.
Beaded
the netted beads.
Yeah.
All right.
Awesome. Lisa Yamamoto.
That's great.
Hi, Lisa.
Hi, Lisa.
Out in Hawaii. I bet it's lovely there today.
Oh, it's great.
Kind of early there, though, right? So it's only like 8:30 or 3 hours ahead or so.
3 hours ahead.
Yeah.
Yes. Wow.
Yeah.
Mahalo for watching.
Yeah.
There you go.
Aloha.
I also, next week, after Beads, Baubles, and Jewels, I jet over to Tacoma to Bead Fest. And I'm doing a lot of teaching, but I'll also be going live from Bead Fest to give you kind of a sneak peek. I know you guys like it when I take you along to different bead shows. And so I'll be teaching as well. And there's still some space. The classes actually was really awesome. Are filling. They're great.
That's a new show there, right? This is
Well, it's the second year.
Second
year in Tacoma. So it's really fun. And if you're in the area, stop by. I'd love to see you. And you can go right online. It's just Google Bead Fest Tacoma. It'll come right up, though I'm sure Gita is linking already as we speak. So that'll be real fun. And then we'll be back the following week, that first week of November. We'll be celebrating. You know what we'll be celebrating?
I do.
What are we celebrating? Do you?
1 year anniversary of Bead Shop Facebook Live.
Of Facebook Live. It'll be our 1 year anniversary, which is super exciting. I can't believe we've been doing this for a year. A year.
I know, and it's in little week chunks. It's just flying by.
It's crazy. So we're gonna.
And you haven't missed any, which means you really haven't had a vacay either.
Well, I miss a few. Like
not
when
very
I was
many,
at
though.
not very many. When I was at Bead and Button or back east, but thank God you're pinch hitting for me.
But you were doing something else work related.
Well, you know, the life of a bead maven.
Seriously.
Never ends. I love it. So that's what we've got. Oh, and before we get started, I did want to share to you guys, we've got some awesome viewer mail. That's right. We should have a little, like, you know, when the late night hosts, like, remember how David Letterman had, like, the whole viewer mail thing? We need a jingle.
We need mailman hats
or something. Something.
Or a mailbox.
So you guys loved. So Emily, it's your fault, really. Because
you know what? I was talking while you were doing that, and I was going, it's herringbone. It's herringbone that you're doing.
No,
You're just
it's
doing
not
it.
herringbone.
Yeah, it is.
Is it?
Yeah.
Just those circles?
You're going up and down and adding a couple.
Yeah.
It's pretty much herringbone.
Herringbone-esque.
Yeah.
Well,
It's a herringbone light.
I call it Kate's circle stitch. That's what I call it. Because, you know, I like to make things up on the fly. But you guys loved it. And this was my,
I loved
did
it.
I do okay on these? I think,
These
right?
half Tilas
Right?
make me crazy.
These guys, and
Yeah.
then the big Tylas.
I'm gonna
And
zoom
then
in on that.
this was, okay, I'll hold it here. This was the original. I was like,
Right.
you know what? We've got to do something with super duos.
Yeah.
So that's, or we've done things with super duos, but I was like, I've got to do something recent with super duos. So I feel like we got a lot of reaction.
Is this the True Twos as well?
No, this
No?
was our, that new stone.
Oh,
We
okay.
got the cut cube.
Got it. Got it.
But you could also use shadows, little shadows. You could use the True 2. But we got a lot of feedback. You guys really loved this slinky little design. And I have some to share with you because you guys were busy little emailers. So let me show you. Yep, question, Gracie.
They were 2-hole beads that you used, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Someone's
all
asking
2
if they're
holes.
peanuts, which they're
Yeah,
not.
no, they're not. And you guys can find, Karen kind of hustled and got all the free tip Fridays. So let me show you that first, where you can find these. So here, I'm going to turn my computer for you, Bran. Here we are on our Facebook Live page, I think, if I can scroll. And then on our Facebook Live, you can see today it's patterning with Memory Wire. But all of our free tip Fridays, you guys, are now accessible through our website.
In one little chunk.
So if you
one little
click on
folder.
there, and we're working on getting all of the photos of all of the samples in, but if you wanted to go, they're all in order. Sleek Stacker bracelets, you just click on that and it goes right here. You can also go to YouTube, or you can, I think you can make it bigger. I think, yeah, there it is, right there. And there I am doing my thing, and you can make it big. Look at how meta is this. There's me
On
and
you.
me
You and you,
right there.
There we go.
right?
Meta. Anyway, so that's where you can
You're
find
so
it.
hip.
I'm so, who's hip? Me. But let me show you guys. You guys were so good. Gita went right on it, and she's made some 2-hole beads or 2-hole kind of stacker things, and she did this. I'll turn this around so you guys can see it. She did it with those like bar beads, and she made it a double wrap. This one's even a triple wrap.
Ooh,
But look at
nicely
how she
done.
added change. She used that
Yeah,
Sweet
yeah.
Beach. She put a tassel here.
Love it.
So it was really cool.
Looks really
Yeah.
snaky and slinky.
So any 2-hole beads, you guys, that you have, you can incorporate. It doesn't have to be the Super Duos or the Tylas. If you have some 2-holers in your stash, try it out. Then, let me show you what else I've got. We've got a couple more. Escape, and let's do this. And let me show you here. Sleek Stacks. This is from Kathy. And Kathy, I love it how you're wearing it with your tracker. And she made three of these guys. It looks like with the cut cubes and
Yeah.
stuff already, which
Those
looks
cut
really
cubes
great.
are really pretty cool, aren't they?
And I think she used like an 11-aught or something in between, which looks great. And I love the metallic look. And I love how you stack them with your Fitbit, with your tracker, with your, tells you how many steps you
Steps.
did, and you
Or
can
not.
admire how clever you are with your stitching. Let me show you one more here. Let me go back. And so Deborah, you did one. She said, I want to show a bracelet I made a couple of years ago with Super Duos and size 8-aught triangle beads, similar to what I taught her. And one of the things that I just wanted to give you a shout out, Deborah, it was really nice. She also wrote us some really nice words here, which I'm going to paraphrase. And she said that she's really inspired to get beading again because she has MS and she is back and re-engaged in her beading. So we're super glad, Deborah, that we're helping you to be inspired. And we've gotten a lot of kind of those inspirational emails, like thanks for doing what you do. So we really appreciate that because, you know, our world right now, it's crazy. But it's amazing that we can all come together right here at the bead table, near and far, and find common ground with creativity.
Absolutely.
So I just wanted to give you that little shout out.
It's such a good, peaceful, relaxing thing to kind of do.
Yeah.
Even when you're learning something new where it's a little struggly.
Look at how she used the triangles, and see
Oh,
the triangles.
I love.
Give it a
those
little
triangles
more.
Are cubes. The triangles.
They're triangles, I
I
think. But you
love
could
those
do the
triangles.
same thing with cubes.
Yeah, cubes
right?
would look great in there too.
But see how it gives it a little more negative space.
More air.
As Janice likes to say.
Mm-hmm.
Air. But I really like how that looks. You could also, like with, you could, if you wanted that same look, you could add 2 little cubes in between, right? To kind of recreate that look of air.
Give a little more air.
It was
in there.
great. So really great job, you guys. I'm so stoked that you like this project. I don't know. It's one of those, Kate was in the shower and she thinks up
What is
the
that
project.
about the water hitting the back of your head? What gives you
Right?
great ideas?
You're like, I'm a genius. So it was great. So thank you.
Cool.
Thank you for all of those. We really, really appreciate it. Any other questions, Gracie? How we doing?
No, everyone's saying everything looks beautiful. You
Oh,
guys are an
great.
inspiration.
Oh,
A
wow.
lot of side talk.
Side talk. We love side talk.
Tammy says, you're very inspiring and the community you've built here is amazing. Such a great place to spend time.
Oh, it's good. Oh, well, we really appreciate it, you guys. Thank you, thank you. Well, let's get to...
Let's talk about memory wire.
Let's
not
about
forget
memory
to
wire.
talk about memory wire.
Right? I mean, we could talk about how fabulous all of you are all day long. But I'm ready with my microphone, with my Jean Rayburn. Hello.
Okay,
Thank you so
tell
much.
us about
memory wire.
I'm just going to hold that right
That's
under
right, right underneath. You know, we, back in the day when we had our brick and mortar, the bead shop, I remember when memory wire came out. And you probably remember that as well.
I do. I remember, well, I think I remember looking at it and going, oh yeah, this is like old lady bracelets.
Right, and it was like a bed spring.
Yeah,
almost,
it was
right?
really
the wire,
hard.
Yeah, the wire
And
was
big.
just a flippin' mess.
Yeah.
And it was like you took like a slinky and you
Beaded it and you made a bracelet.
You made a bracelet. It was a little awkward.
And then you went, yeah, I'm not going back there.
Yeah, it was difficult to cut. It was hard to loop. It was all of those
It had
things.
all the bad signs.
All the bad signs. But memory wire has come like you and I, we've come a long way, baby.
It has.
With
And
our
it's-
memory wire.
It's sort of the way Softflex was, too. Do you remember back when it was called Tiger Tail?
Right,
And it was
before,
like, who wants to work with this and these corrugated
Stiff.
crimps? And,
Right, it was
you know,
crazy.
oh,
And then it evolved.
Yeah.
And Softflex
changed our world.
changed our world. So Bram, let's get down here to the old stomping grounds. And get this going. Let's see. So I want to start by talking about some of the memory wire sizes and about the memory wire just in general. Okay, so we carry the memory wire on beadshop.com. We carry, I'm going to say it's like
It's a
a
plethora.
whole ton, a plethora. Look at that. There it is. Okay, we
Wait,
pulled
wait,
it off
there's
the wall.
more.
Wait, there's more.
And
but
the-
wait,
and this
there's
new one.
this, right?
Right.
The oval. So we've got a whole pile here. One of the ways that you might want to start with the memory wire is getting the memory wire assorted pack, right? And it comes in some different sizes. And you can see it's got the ring. It's got 3 sizes of bracelet, 2, 2 1/4, and 2 1/2, and then the necklace. Okay, so it's a great way to jump in with a sampler, and it comes in all of the different metal flavors and stuff like that. So if you're not sure, heck, where do I want to begin? This might be a good place to begin. Then we carry it in just the bracelet size. We carry it in the 2 and the 2 1/4. Your sampler also has it in 2 1/2. And I had it all laid out and then I screwed it all up. But that might be easier for you guys to see. See how the smaller, this is the, can I write upside down? That's the 2. Is that in the right place? My 2. I'm writing, look at me writing upside down. 4, I don't know if I can make my 4 upside down. There we go, look at that. No, is that backwards? Oh, well.
Other way.
There we go. Well, I can't do it. There we go. Oh, for goodness sakes. Writing backwards was never my forte. There we go. 2 1/4. And let me see. Can I do it again? My 2s are getting better. 2 and look at that. And a half. Wow. That's my upside down writing skills.
Not too bad.
Not too bad. Not too much like a 4th
The 4
grader.
took a little, but
yeah, the 4 was a little sad. Anyways, so but you can see the different sizes: 2 1/2, 2 1/4, and 2. The 2 1/2, we and we'll talk about we've got some samples and stuff. The 2 1/2, especially if you're using heavier beads,
Bigger beads, too.
or bigger beads,
Yeah.
right? May be a little big for some of you. I think that the sweet spot for you guys will probably be the 2 1/2 to the 2 inch, and we'll talk about the difference. But if you're doing, let's say that you wanted to do a memory wire bracelet with beads that were larger, 2 1/2. Like, let me show you here. Let me illustrate the point. If I have a bead like this that's long, okay, and I'm trying to get a long bead, greatly magnified, right? But if I'm trying to get a really long bead like that on this memory wire, the bead doesn't curve around enough, and this memory wire, the smaller one, is especially curvier, so it's going to be hard to get longer beads like that on a smaller diameter of memory wire, if that makes sense. This bigger one, the 2 1/2, if I have these bigger beads, it makes that turn a little bit
more
easier.
accommodating.
Yeah, a little more accommodating. So especially, like I said, with that variety pack, you can kind of test and see what works for you.
I feel like that was the time when a manufacturer began to really listen to what people were doing on the street, because I remember the early days, I think there was only 2.
I think there may have only been one.
I
don't know.
mean one size.
One size.
Yeah,
Yeah.
size like a 2
Right, a
inch
2
one.
inch, yeah.
And so if you had a bigger wrist, it was like putting on a pair of too tight pantyhose. It
Yeah.
was really uncomfortable
Yeah.
and not pleasant to wear.
Right. And you were also really limited to the beads that you wanted to put on. So so with these 3 choices, you've got a little more of a choice with hole sizes. And let's maybe even just demonstrate it now so you can see. This is our bigger, the sample here that we did. It has some of these larger beads or longer beads, and this one is actually strung on this 2 1/2. So when you put this one on, Em,
And I will, because I
and
have a
why
bigger
don't we,
wrist.
Brandon, kind of pull this guy up so we can kind of talk about the samples just a little bit.
I have a little bit bigger wrist, and you know, for personal preference, I really prefer things to kind of move around on my wrist rather than sort of cling in one spot, except
Right.
for my watch.
Right.
Everything
watch,
else, the
right.
watch I want to stay in place, but everything else, I'm a little bit happier that it moves on me.
Yeah,
a little
and
bit.
I'm even that way with like my stacker, this
I
ladder
know
bracelet that I wear. I make
my
it a little
ladder
loose.
bracelets, I tend to make them a little closer than this, but with my size wrist, and I have about a 7-inch wrist if you measure it all the way around, so most of my bracelets end up being about 8 inches long. I like that slightly looser
fit. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a
And
little more comfortable.
They hang a little more like a stack of bangles.
Right, and I love
Right.
that it looks like a stack
Yeah.
of bangles
I'm
without
gonna-
it being a stack.
Without being a stack.
Speaking of.
I'm gonna grab these guys, and let me grab, with my pencil, grab that
microphone?
one, my microphone. This one is a smaller one. This is I think it's the,
Right, and I can put
this
that on,
is the 2.
but
And
I
you
can
can
tell
see
you,
the
it's not going to be
smaller
as comfortable.
beads. Yeah, and see how that fits on you, Em, that 2-inch diameter. And again, winding.
I like to wind them on. I mean, to me, it's more comfortable.
And
Oops.
that sits a little more like if you were, I don't know, making like a wrap bracelet, maybe that's skinny or something. But yeah, see, so that's, I think, that 2 millimeter, and it still fits because all of this memory wire
Stretches a bit.
stretches and accommodates whatever your wrist size is. But you can see there's not a lot of underneath
Not a lot
there.
of ease.
Not a
in
lot
that
of
one.
ease. Now this is one that we did. We did a whole show on memory wire back when we first started to carry it. Janice and I did, and this was a piece that Janice made. It's like one of those old-fashioned cuffs. So I think what Janice used there was our bigger. It was our 2 1/4 inch. And if I put this one on, how it's more like a cuff, and see how it's opened and looped there. And so these are all just little 3/4
So they're little stackers.
circles, little stackers.
Yeah.
So you could connect those stackers this way, or you could just have them as Janice was doing when she was winding this on, and then she would like put those guys in and amongst the stack, which I think was really cool.
I'm stuck.
You're stuck?
Yeah.
I'll unstick you.
Will you
there
unstick
you
me,
go.
please?
There we go.
I don't know what I did, but
And this one that's the small one, that's the 2-inch diameter, these have the small, there we go.
bugles.
These small bugles, yeah. So they don't have to, there we go. So they don't have to make too much, turn too much of a curve or too
And
much
see, I
of
like that a
corner.
whole lot.
Yeah.
That's sort of in between, maybe, and fits, and
It's a nice
I do
fit.
like it.
And these are some more of those little stackers. So see how they just open? So you could just make them just like this. This one is with 6mm. So it's a really good, and this is with the Tylas. So they're also great for stacking up
Yeah.
like that. So you can connect them this way, or just make them into little cups. I think we
I
were
really
calling
like the
them.
little cuffs, actually. You know, one day you might be wearing something darker, one day you might be wearing something lighter, and you certainly could mix and match these a little
Mix
bit.
and match, and I think they blend right in
Yeah, they
with
do.
the
Yeah.
other ones as well. So there's a lot to do with this memory wire itself. But back to our sizes, and Brandon, we can get back down to this guy. So with these sizes, we're not going to tackle like the ring memory wire or the necklace memory wire on this broadcast, but essentially, you guys, you do it exactly the same way. You would put a loop at the end where you can hang a dangle, or I'm also going to show you how I glue something in place there. You just use it the same way. The ring memory wire I like a lot. It's great for use with seed beads, stuff like that. And you can also kind of make your rings open like this, so they would adjust to whatever your ring size is. Or you can have them wrapped like a bracelet.
And
So-
holidays are coming. They make great wine glass charms.
Oh my gosh,
You know,
right.
that's the easiest, quickest way to make wine glass charms.
That's
is String a
right.
bunch of beads on and
Yeah,
then
and
cut
then-
it as you go.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that wine glass charm, I remember we made, if I can move it around, it kind of goes like a wrap and like a quarter, or almost a wrap and a half, kind
Yep.
of. So it locks in, so if your wine stem is here, it kind of locks in, and then you could put a little charm or whatever. Yes, that's right, the wine glass markers from the
Plus,
ring memory wire.
holidays are coming, and it's a great little easy hostess
It is.
gift.
Put them in an organza bag, and you are good to
Get out of
go.
my head. You're
That's
in my
right.
head. I
Right?
was just about to
Come
say
on.
organza bag.
Well, all right, let's say it together. Organza bag.
bag.
Perfect.
Before JP left,
Yeah.
she actually mentioned that these bracelets are a good, easy idea for gifts too.
Yeah, they're
Yep.
perfect. And with something like this, if you do them open, they fit so many wrists.
Well, and you know, I think all of us who've worked in retail at the holiday time, we are fully cognizant, and we have flashbacks about people coming in on Christmas Eve and saying, "Yeah, I need to make like 5 or 6 gifts for people right now."
right now, you're
And
like, you're
so
kidding me,
You
right?
can't really start it too soon, because we do have
Right.
these flashback memories of
We do.
Christmas Eve with dads and their daughters or sons who are very young, sitting in the bead store assembling a piece of jewelry.
That's right.
for,
Oh my
for
gosh.
mom.
For
and,
mom.
and God bless them,
Yeah.
but it's Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
You know?
So let's get on it. You can see also with this cuff I wanted to show, this is the Tyla bead, and that's the Checkmates tile. And the Checkmates
Yeah.
tile, we use the 11-aught in between, and the Tyla we just stacked.
I like those Tylas. I'm
I
getting
do
more and
too.
more interested in
and
this.
look at how nice it looks with the half Tyla and the regular
We
Tyla.
could right angle weave with those, you know.
Yeah, well, we can.
Sure.
All right, that's good times. Let's do
'Cause-
it right now. Just kidding.
Let me just draw a little bit.
But it would be really cool. Let's put that on a for a future broadcast. Right angle weave with these
Oh,
tiles.
come on. No, I want to do it right.
I love it. Well, we've got a memory wire. Emily, don't get me.
I can't help it.
You know, you're going to get me all off
stirred
my
up.
game. All off my game. I'm excited though for it. So let's talk about how to close this off first.
How do you like to close it off?
Let's begin at the ending. Well, it depends. I really dig how when JP did this one, she did these little, what I like to say, a little dingle dangle on the end, right, with a little loop. I like the way that looks, and I like how it adds movement. But I have some really super old-fashioned ones that are kind of cuffs that have the bead just glued to the end,
Right.
which I also like. What about you?
I think I'm fond of the loop with dangle as well. I think it takes it out of just being that plain round and around spirally thing and gives it a little bit more texture and a little bit more interest. I'm a little wary of glue, so you're going to have to talk me into it.
Well, you know me. I like glue.
I know. And that's fine.
That's fine. Okay.
I get it. I get it. So I think I like the little dingle dangly bit at the end. That's kind of my go-to.
I did want to mention something that Janice mentioned in the comments when she was making these. When you use the Tyla beads on your wire, and it's something that we talked about in the last show, when you're putting these on, you need to be really careful because the Tylas can crack pretty easily when you put them on. And I remember doing this when we were stringing this up. And what I think I did was I went along and I think I strung like 2 or 3 on one side, and then I caught up on the other side. So I was kind of easing them around and being really careful as I put them on. And the 2-inch, having a little bit of a larger diameter, this 2 1/4, might be your best bet for
Well, I can
Tylas.
definitely see that because the Tylas themselves are not much bigger than a seed bead in thickness. So
they're easy to
they're just not a lot of material there, whereas the Checkmates are
thicker.
Are a thicker molded bead, so just more material.
Yeah. So if you're going to do these little cuffs, I would recommend the 2 1/4. Okay. And it sounds like Janice is heading out. We'll see you a little bit later.
Yeah.
So, Gracie, shout out those questions. Don't hesitate.
Tanya joined.
What's that?
Tanya joined.
Hi,
Tanya's
Tanya.
back. Or Tanya. Hi, Tanya. Okay, so let me show you how I glue one of these suckers on the end. I'm going to use this from this kind of gunmetal dark memory wire. And do you, when you work with memory wire, do you just work off the end?
You know,
or do you cut it?
I find that with the ring size, if I'm making wine glass charms, and my
you
niece
know,
got married and I had to make a lot of wine glass charms.
No, you didn't. You made
I did.
for a whole wedding?
Yeah.
Wow.
We did a lot of things for that wedding.
You
we
are
made,
so
I made
good.
necklaces for 9 bridesmaids and
Wow.
2 flower girls.
Wow.
And
How
I made her a
nice you are.
headpiece for her hair to wear, and
all of
I made
these
her
wine glass charms.
Yeah, we did a few things.
That's
Anyhow,
so awesome.
I found that with the smaller size of the ring, it was actually easier to cover it with a bunch of beads, sort of like pre-stringing that I do, and then cut them separately rather than trying to manipulate that little tiny
that little
piece.
thing. So you pre-strung and then kind of shoved them to the side and then cut.
Yeah, I tend to be actually a kind of person that prefers to string without ends on initially for myself. Sometimes when you're teaching it, you're just trying to keep the beads off the floor more than anything.
Yep.
But I would tend to do it at the end.
Okay.
You know, I would do all my stringing and then I would close my ends. So I would work on a bigger piece and then finish it and then remove anything
kind of in
extra.
batches. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I usually work off the end of my memory wire because my design style is that I don't always know what I'm doing at the end.
Yeah.
I just start at the beginning and let it evolve.
Mm-hmm.
So, so for this, what I'm going to do, and you can see my Zap glue might be a little clogged, so I've got a little pin here. We're going to open up that Zap. There it comes. Put the lid back on your Zap. And if you guys don't have Zap in your jewelry toolbox, run, don't walk. It's what I do a lot of my metal gluing with now. And I also, I'm using our little clip. It kind of helps me to get a
gives you
firmer
a little
grip.
handle.
Yeah, a little handle.
Oh, that's kind of nice.
Because I don't know if you
Did you
guys...
just think that up right now, or have you
I
done
did.
this before?
No, I did. I
Oh.
just thought it up right now,
Awesome.
actually. Because, you know, necessity is the mother
was
of
like,
invention.
Wow, Kate's really
Wow.
prepared, because
Wow.
she gave me a clip too.
That's
and
right, I
like,
did. I was
totally
all
prepared.
mhm. Well, you know,
Yeah,
we
right.
fake it where we can. And now I'm going to put it right, get a little bit of that glue on there, and I'm going to push this back. So I've got some glue there. I'm going to put a little bit more glue on the end, and I'm going to push it back down, this bead. Okay. Now I'm going to let it kind of sit, but I'm going to, maybe I'll use my baggie as like a little squeegee. And I really want to get any, you kind of have to work fast because this is already, ooh, it's already setting up, so I don't want to screw with it too much. Zap sets up
Too sweet.
super quickly.
Right.
So I'm just going to use my little thing, or you can use a toothpick. I've got my handy dandy toothpick thing that my mom gave us, so I always have a toothpick nearby. Get that extra little zap out of there. And so now I'm good to go. And I'm going to let this just sit for the moment, just like that. And this clip will also help keep the bead from sitting too far down or whatever.
Right.
Now there might be a little bit of zap on here on the wire, but that's okay. I'm going to deal with it a little bit later. So I'm going to push this to the side for the moment, and we're going to let that set for just a few minutes. Let's, what you can also do for that end closure is, of course, you can just come in with your end and your round nose.
Can you bring that forward?
Forward a little bit. Is that okay, Bran, right there?
Much better.
You can use your round, and what I do is I rotate it, and this wire is springy, right?
Yeah, you got to grip it firmly.
You've got to grip it firmly, and see how I grip it and
Go
I
past.
rotate it, go past just a little, so that when I pull my tool back out, it's crossed a little, and I can just, with my chain nose, probably manipulate it so it just sits right there, and that tension kind of keeps it
closed.
closed.
So we're not worried about making kind of the perfect loop. I don't ever. I just sort of make a P-shaped loop.
Yeah, yeah. Our first concern is a loop that stays closed.
Right.
Right. And then a loop that's consistent.
Right.
So if you're gonna, let's try and be consistent with our shapes. But that's really it, you guys. Then you're ready. Then you're ready to string. We're ready to string this on. Yeah, question. Sure,
on
Gracie.
glue. Zap versus super glue.
Well, the Zap, this is a gel, so it stays where you put it, and doesn't run down my wire.
I also feel like the Zap is a little bit of a gap filler.
Yes.
So-
yes.
Even though our bead is on the wire, the interior tunnel may not be completely filled with wire.
Right.
So the Zap glue will, because of its
Fill it.
jelly-y kind of consistency, not run out and help fill up that hole. And that can be one of the problems with working with glue. I mentioned earlier I have some trepidation about glue, and mostly that's based on past experiences and not wanting to have things come apart on
Right.
me. So I try to avoid glue.
Yeah.
When I
and
can.
I do too, but I feel like this This
good
is a really
application.
sturdy. Yeah, it's a really sturdy. And I always like to screw with it. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put this back there to remind myself, stop screwing with this, Richburg, and I'm going to set it aside. Way over there. So I can't, no touching. But let me get this little puddle of glue out of the way, or else I'll put my hand in it. So let's talk a little bit about how we pulled this palette together. You and
Absolutely.
Janice were working on this, and one of the things that we've been doing now, you guys, is we've been creating recipes, right? Mm-hmm. And so if you go to our project page for this, we have some pre-made palettes,
Right.
But we also have kind of like a generic recipe that you guys can follow. So how did you guys, because I know you and Janice started to flesh this out, so.
Well, Janice actually made this bracelet initially.
This original.
This original. And she was calling it just stringing. I just needed to string some beads.
Right.
And so she pulled what she had, and of course she's back in Alexandria, and so doesn't have the access to the wall o beads behind us.
Right, wallow beads.
Wallow beads back there, and around the corner, and in the other room.
Yes.
Everywhere. Beads
In
everywhere.
my desk.
Right, all over. In my bags, everywhere.
That's right.
So I really liked the palette that she picked out, and I liked that she was using really good sizes of beads and shapes of beads. So she chose a lot of things like Saturn beads, which have a raised ring around the equator. And that also has a little bit of a Picasso
space.
finish.
Right.
And it breaks up the strand a little bit. These melons, which we've all fallen in love with, which also have some Picasso irregular finishes on them.
And
Then-
that texture, too.
Yeah.
It's like, it's really
It's a twofer.
singular.
Yeah. Daisies. These lovely little flower beads, this pressed glass. One of the interesting things about glass, and this is where I think the Japanese and the Czechs kind of diverge from one another. The Czech glass that we see in this pressed glass and our Czech glass beads tends to have great finishes on the outside.
Right.
And the Japanese are slowly kind of catching up with that. But their colors of glass also tend to be more mixed
Right.
and more irregular
Right.
in the coloring. The finishes and the sizes and things are pretty consistent these days. Japanese beads tend to be, one looks just like the next.
Right.
Until you get to a different color, and then it looks like a different color. So I really love having this kind of blendable color. Last week when we did patterning with stones, we chose some stones that had some variations in color as well, but not always do the colors that you pick out have those in them. An amethyst might be purple all the way through, so it's got one beautiful amount of color, but these blended colors
These kind of mottled colors.
are
Yeah.
really appealing, and that makes it so that certain beads can be crossed into different palettes
Right.
easily. You know, this red daisy could actually move into a more red palette or a more dark brown palette. And this is actually
It's a green, isn't
it's
it? An
green.
olive?
Yeah, it's like an
I don't know if you
olive
guys can see
colored
that, but
Saturn. So and it's got some reflectivity to it with the facets.
yeah.
Faceted gemstone beads can be very expensive, and the faceting can be kind of irregular.
And with
So
the glass, it's
the
nice.
glass, it really does give you these choices of finish and style that blend together really smoothly. And since last time we talked a lot about kind of showcasing each bead, making it stand out, really the opposite is so true as well, and it happens to work really nicely with this
Right.
glass
So we're
palette.
creating more of cohesive, subtle palette.
Right.
Right. So let's pull in all of these blue, and Fran, we can pull that down.
You know, it's
here,
funny
I
when
think.
we say the word palette, what I see in my mind is my mother's oil painting palette.
Oh,
And it had, oil paints dry very, very slowly, so she could work for a long time with them. And that oil painting palette would have all the colors kind of swirling around on the outside. And so in my mind, I see a palette, a shape, an oval shape with these colors kind of dotted around on it. And it just has this really strong
Like
mind image that I
feel,
get
yeah,
from it. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
well, I think that, you know, what we've done here, we've assembled everything that's in the recipe. And, you know, the fun thing I think about following the recipe or following the different colorways that we've pulled out for you, you can see when they're all laid out individually like you were saying, Emily, how different the size and the shape of these beads are. There's some that are transparent. There's some that are opaque. You can see that daisy is transparent. There's some tiny beads, some that are a little bit bigger, and of course we've thrown in some metal. So there's a lot of different things going on, but when we pull it all together in that palette, we're really showing something that's cohesive. Yep, Gracie, question.
Ginger's asking if bugle beads will work in this bracelet.
Sure, I think so, Ginger. I think that what we have been stringing... What's that? Oh, yeah, Brandon, do you have yours around?
Yeah.
Brandon, actually, we have a couple that were coming up that we're going to be actually sharing with you guys, a couple of new samples. And Brandon did one of those. She has it on her desk, and I told her to grab it real quick.
Yummy.
Look at this. So, Brand, you used the 3mm, right?
Number
Is that
3.
the number 3?
Number
The
3.
number 3 bugle?
Yeah.
And see, Brandon also put the 11-aught in between.
A little bumper in there.
Yeah,
It's nice.
so it acts like a little, yeah, like a little, you know, buffer, I guess.
It was a little tight occasionally, but not too bad.
But mostly it went. And you use the larger. I think this is the 2 and a quarter. Yeah. So I would use those larger ones, Ginger. Isn't this pretty? We'll have this up on the website.
Yeah.
But it's great.
Janice used the bugles originally, and she
The number
called those
ones.
joints elbows, didn't she? And the green bracelet that you
Yeah.
don't have right now.
Yeah.
She also
Use the
bugle.
longer
I
ones,
think she
right?
did.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you go to our memory wire, to our projects with memory wire, you can see more of that use. But this is really great. Looks really great with these. Super, super great. I love it. So let's do something crazy, Emily.
Uh-oh.
You know, what's my favorite thing? Soup. That's right.
It's mine too, actually. I've been playing with Janice's leftover soup over here.
So, yeah, so you've got, let's pull yours in so we can
kinda-
see yours.
I got leftovers.
That's
I'm
right.
having leftovers for lunch.
That's right.
Right?
So, I know, there's fear.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Fear in Bead Shoplandia.
It's all right.
But look at that, bam.
Little bit of those green ones. Careful, they're salty.
Yeah, right? Look at that. Wow. There's no fear. Let's just put them
What's
together.
the worst that could happen?
Right, you just unsort them, right?
Right.
Grace is the queen of unsorting.
Yeah. I like unsorting,
I do
actually.
too. And
Although sometimes I'll just use them out of that mix.
Yeah. Sometimes what I do with my metals is I don't mix my metals in, but I know that I want them kind of to
Oh,
the
see,
side.
I want to mix them in right
Yeah.
now.
Look at that.
Yeah,
Bam.
that's
well, you mixed
luscious.
yours.
I know, I
Look at
mixed it
that.
all together.
Luscious Jackson.
Luscious,
Looks good.
luscious.
Looks good. All right. So that's funny.
Sorry.
There were
that's a
comments
Jess reference.
earlier about
Yeah.
how funny you were, and they were talking about your craftsy because people were talking
Oh,
about your rings and
you
how funny
guys.
you are, and you made Ginger's dad laugh.
Oh, well, you know,
Oh, funny.
I'm funny, haha. You call me funny, Grace.
Cat called her a goofball, but she loves them.
So I've got this guy that I am going to be stringing on, and it's still a little tacky, but it's all right. I'm just going to go for it. Now,
I'm beginning to really like that gunmetal wire.
right, that gunmetal wire,
With
I
those,
love it.
With that blue mix.
And the one that we use, the one that it calls for, I just jumped in with this one, but the recipe actually
for the
calls for the copper because we use the copper wire or the copper beads here, but I'm using what I have in front of me. And, any of whatever memory wire you have will really work. So I'm just going to, you just start to string, right? And the diameter of this wire, it should say it's, or the gauge of this wire. I bet we have it, I should have checked it before we went on, but my spidey sense tells me that this is about a 20 to 22 gauge wire. And we can look it up. I bet
I bet it's a 21. or
21,
something funky.
yeah. Emily is going to check it on our website. But most of these glass beads, you can see, go on pretty easily. Now, as I string this, I'm hardly paying attention. And I want to change up the size, shape, color, texture, of the beads that I'm putting on every time. And you know, my fingers know what to find, I guess. Right? I'm just going in, and I'm not even going to look. I'm going to string some on, and then we're going to look at it. Does it say him?
I'm looking at
Can you also talk about the oval
22
memory wire?
gauge.
Yeah, 22 gauge. All right. My spidey sense, we were all really close. I will, Gracie.
Okay.
So here you can see, Brandon, the way that you strung yours was you did this like what Janice was teaching. You taped yours down, didn't you?
I think I did it the first one. I didn't. Once I got going,
You didn't as much?
Well, because I did it in three
Right.
steps. But
See
it was
if I could do
definitely
that.
that very first time. Just having it taped down was a little.
Was helpful. Will you hand me the tape? Thank you. This is something that Janice did, and I thought,
Super smart.
yeah, and I don't know, Brand, we might need a full view, because I'm going to pull this up.
Okay.
But see how I've got my three. You can see how messy our table is getting too. But that's the beauty of it. So you can see I've really taped that down nicely.
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah, there you go.
right, and then you kind of open this coil up,
And roll it all down there.
roll it all down, walk it down.
Except I have it on really bright.
There we go. So it goes down just like one of those swirly slides in the playground. And you can, I mean, this is like, you know, oh my gosh, we're swirling this down forever. So I might want to go, how many coils do I want? 1 coil, 2 coils, 3 coils, 4 coils. I'm going to cut some of this off. Now, that brings me to cutting. I had them here.
Oh.
They're right here. Cutting your memory wire,
Please,
you guys.
please, please.
See this tool that I have in my hand? This is the memory wire cutter. This
The only cutter for memory wire.
is the only cutter for memory wire. Some of you,
Who
some
will
of
remain
you,
nameless.
perhaps even in this room, oh,
Very first time.
harsh.
Oh, man.
Have cut your memory wire with, where are your flush cutters? Give me them flush cutters.
These beautiful tools?
Totally. Hold the thing up so I can see where we are. If you cut with this guy, what's going to happen? You know what's going to happen.
You're going to take a nick out of the blade of your tool.
And it's going to be
Sad.
so sad. The saddest.
And everyone's going to know what you did.
Yeah,
Sees
it's
your
true.
tool.
Brendan's like, can you lay off and move on?
MoveOn.com.
Move on. So see here, I'm just going to cut this away, and these little Xuron memory wire cutters, bam.
I think I got way
That's
too
it.
much too.
Yeah.
So, do you want to do it again?
Let's
Here.
cut this. There you go. You cut, where shall I cut?
Just let me
And
cut here.
look at
So
that.
see how those work like a scissor? The blade passes itself.
Yeah, bypasses.
So it's different from a flush cutter where the blades meet up,
Neat. You're right.
right?
And this memory wire cutter, you guys, I use it in a lot of different applications.
Oh yeah.
In my jewelry making life, I cut heavy gauge wire with this all day long.
Yep.
12 gauge, 10 gauge.
Great for rivets too because
8
it makes a
gauge.
nice flush
It
end.
makes a nice flush end. So this will be handy in your wire world, even more than just the memory wire. Okay. Questions so far, Gracie? How am I doing? How are we doing?
Oh, looking good.
We're all right? Okay. So I'm just going to keep stringing. Just keep stringing. There we go. And see how, like this illustrates this with this longer bead. See this daisy? See how I'm going to pull this memory wire up and kind of flatten it a little bit as it goes along, and then it kind of goes on. If this has kind of a harsh, or not a harsh, but a more pronounced
steep
curve, it's going to be a little more difficult to get on there. And you guys, we're using these are our, what we call temple,
Oh, I
our
love
new
them.
bead. This
With the
brass
little,
extravaganza. Look at those. They're like
ridges
little
around the
piers. Yeah.
Outside edge.
So
So
I'll
cute.
do an intentional repeat of those temples because I love them so. And then let's just keep sliding it on. Sometimes, and you can see with this little snake one, it's kind of easy to see. Let me pull another one. Sometimes the coatings of these smaller beads, like that 3mm, see how it's kind of coated at the end and it's kind of hard to get on there? just, you know who's the boss of your
Persevere.
beads.
Persevere,
Yep,
persevere.
You're the boss. So pull that and just get it right on there. And you kind of open up that little, sometimes the coating around the end, and they go on just fine.
We had some delayed questions, actually.
Yeah, sure.
Two, about the cutters. Can you cut Softflex with a memory wire cutter?
You know, I don't think it's the best cutter for Softflex. I'm sure that you could, but to get up close next to what you like, to get up next to the crimp bead and stuff,
Not so useful.
not so useful.
Could
If you're
you-
just lobbing it off the spool, then it should work okay.
Could you use the cutters for other types of wire, including heavy gauge wire?
Yeah, by all day long.
Yep.
12 gauge, 14 gauge. Yeah, I use them, and they give you a nice flush cut. I have my Xuron memory wire cutters. Mine are probably, I don't know, 15
Mine
years
are probably
old.
20 years old,
Yeah,
at least.
Really, they're really great. So can you see how that tape is really holding everything in place? Looks a little bit like our friend Mary says, the dog's breakfast, but
Not
there we
the cow
go.
stomach?
Not the cow stomach, the dog's breakfast. See, there you go. I'm not putting enough metal in here. I need to be more.
Well, I'm falling back on my old patterns of when I get stuck, is I do a little bit of patterning.
Oh, that's a good.
Because sometimes
Yeah.
I get kind
Look
of
at
jammed up where I feel like I don't know what I should use next.
Right. Let me
So
get that out of the way.
I'll kind of make a few little quick groupings.
Kind of like we did last week.
Yeah, and it's not like these are the be-all, end-all, but it is
But it
nice
gives
to...
you somewhere to go.
Yeah, it helps me kind of move on past the spot I'm stuck on.
MoveOn.org.
And sometimes I like to use...
That's my other one we like to
I
say,
know.
right? That's a little nod to our friend Jessica.
Sometimes I like to use beads, like a little spacer bead between beads so that you see the shape more clearly. And those I sometimes don't even put in the pattern. I just know to grab one, pick it up, and put it in that same spot. You know? And if you have, if you've chosen a couple of different types of 3mm or 4mm, you can actually alternate those also within the pattern, and that sometimes helps break it up a little bit.
So, yeah, Gracie, I bet you're going to ask me the same question that I'm going to answer. What's the question?
Maybe. It was about the length of your bracelet. How
Yeah.
are you going to measure that?
How are we going to measure? So you can see as I'm pulling this up here, I've got like 1, 2, 3, 4, almost 5 coils here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, like 4.5. And I would probably, if I weren't doing this on air, I might have a little bit more here, so I've got a little more
little
length,
extra.
a little bit extra. But I can also, this is pretty much on there. I'm going to go ahead and remove the tape and pull this down, because I want to show you one other thing that I do with these, and then we'll continue to address the length. And I hope you guys can see this. I'm going to get my zap. And I'm going to add just a touch more zap. I don't know, Bran, if you can see that there, if I'm...
So what's the purpose of the extra zap glue?
Well, I'm going to add a little more zap right here. And there we go. And I'm going to get my toothpick out of my handy-dandy toothpick holder, because I've got a little extra.
If you could pull your front, yeah.
There, is that better?
Yeah, it's just black that.
Okay.
Perfect.
Then I'm going to untape, and what that zap is going to do is it's going to glue these first beads together.
Oh, you are so smart, Richburg.
Well, I like
Yeah.
this closure. See how now they're going to come together like that?
Oh, that's good.
And then I'll use my toothpick to get any excess. But that really leaves this closure nice and tight. Okay? So nothing, so this
Very cool.
is good.
Oh, I like this much better. This gives me a lot more confidence
Does
in
it?
the glue. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, absolutely.
So then you can see, getting back to our sizing question, let me get a little flag of tape.
Oh my gosh, Jean is asking what do you suggest as her first project. This one seems like a really good
Yeah?
first project.
Yeah,
And
I think so, Jean.
Miranda Wynn can attest to that.
Yeah,
this was my first.
Yeah, and memory wire, you can't go wrong, really. I mean, we're making it, you know, a little fancy, but you can just, you know, jump on and string whatever you have on the memory
Well,
wire.
I love that Janice was doing this kind of as
There
a
we go.
this was therapy.
Yeah.
And it is therapy in
There
a
we go.
way. So I think it's relaxing. It's definitely a confidence boost. It's meditating with a finished product, which I'm sure most of the
Is always
real
good.
gurus would say,
Yeah.
no, there's no finished product, but this is nice.
Yeah, it is nice.
know?
And you can see how I've kind of gathered all of those beads down there with my little tape flag. So now I can start to...
Oh, now you can do a little measurement.
Yeah, so I can say, okay, you know, how is this looking? And if I had more beads, I could start to see how things were shaping up. But I would say for a memory wire bracelet, I would, because this is going to give me about 5 coils once it's, and it may stretch out just a little bit when the beads are on there. So I would cut yourself like 6 to 7 coils, maybe, if you want to cut, you know, a length off, so that your beads aren't traveling down forever to get around there. But you know, whatever
I don't know, it's
works
kind of
for
fun
you. It is kind of fun, right? But now I want to start thinking about, well, my next beads that I string on, I also don't want like my flowers to butt up against each other. I mean, I guess if they do, they do. You know,
I don't know. I
mean,
guess it
it's
depends
okay.
on. I always think of this as sort of spreading out the pricier beads. You know.
Oh yeah,
If you have
the say something, the focal beads, I
focal
guess.
beads, yeah. If you have some beads that are a little bit more pricey, and maybe pricey is the wrong word. The beads that have a little bit more to say.
Yeah,
They're a little bit bigger.
Your
they're a little
say-something
bit-
beads.
Say something beads.
Yeah.
I might want to
your
kind of.
keynote speakers.
Oh my gosh, keynote speakers.
Thank
I
you.
want to spread them out. Thank you very much.
Thank
Where's
you
your
so
microphone?
much. Thank you.
I want to spread them out a little bit more because I want them to
Spread
make
the
enough
love.
impact. You know, here's I've got my first coil, and I have my daisies on opposite sides, pretty much of that
Right,
coil.
right. So
Right.
you know.
So I mean, I am going to make a little bit of a plan here, and I have been making a little bit of a plan. So maybe I'm going to go a full coil before I add another daisy or two. Sometimes I like to think about this in a sort of a patterning sense, where you actually move your think of your patterning just a row or two ahead. So if I were to make a full coil here with no daisy or no say something bead on there, and then pick up again, I might want to do it at the opposite side over here.
Yeah,
so
it's
it
a good
is
idea,
is
so
kind
that
of
you're-
somewhat of a pattern.
Yeah.
And if you're feeling stressed out by the thought of doing anything randomly, it's not really random. There's a pattern in there.
You're right.
No one needs to know.
Yeah.
Yes, Gracie.
Robin would like you to elaborate on statement beads.
Well, statement beads can mean different things to different people. In this particular project, I would think of these larger beads as a bit more of a statement bead. So a larger bead to me shows itself a little bit more, so it has a little more prominence. If I'm working with beads that are different colored, for instance, if I take these daisies out of my mix, and I'll push this mix around over closer to the area here. So now my beads are all more closely sized, and there's really no statement in there. One way I can make a bead be a statement bead is put it in a pattern that shows it off extremely well. So I might sort of build up to that bead, and now my bead has more prominence because it's separated.
It's like bookended.
Yeah, separated and kind of shown off a bit more. Right?
I'm just stringing as fast as I can
Do it.
because I need to
Get going?
Yep. So I'm like, no, but you're great.
Is that what you mean?
I would say that I am trying to string this super fast, so I'm not
Okay.
doing any pre-planning.
Oh, no. No.
I'm just
and
jumping in.
So if you get a little distressed by having to do too much random, do too much random bead work, then make short patterns like this. And I know Janice likes to do this to sort of practice on what pattern she might use. Kate's necklace, when we pull back again, also has a pretty amazing statement bead on it. So a bead that says something or is a little bit more big and visible.
Invisible. So my mom mentioned something in the comments that I wanted to pull up. So my mom says that to tell people about the Paul Lind. Now, some of you may remember back in the day when you'd watch Hollywood Squares, and Paul Lind was always the center square, right? And he always was the focus and had something to say, and everything was kind of built out. The other squares were built out around Paul Lind. So when my mom and I, when we're talking about fabric, and we're going to be at our quilt retreat soon, we always say, which fabric is the Paul Lind?
Got it.
Which is the one that's the standout or the one that pulls the focus? So sometimes we call that the Paul Lind. So that's a little.
That's a great idea.
That's
it's
a little
great
sidebar. We call that the Paul Lind.
And Gita's also saying you can buy some velour tubing and put those in between the beads.
Oh,
fun
yeah,
idea.
the velour, and anything that, that, I think that would be kind of cool. All right, so we're stringing, we're doing all right.
Yeah.
While I'm stringing this, do you want to do, or you can finish stringing this, I want to show how to, just a refresher on...
wire wrapping?
Yeah, the wire
Go
wrap.
for it.
Shall I?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm going to have you, will you continue to string this one?
I'd be happy to continue
And
to string that
then,
one.
look at, see that sprung back? And see how that tape just
I'm going to actually just
went
slide
there.
this paperwork
All right,
out from under
you
you a little
slide.
bit. There we go.
You
Perfect.
slide. I'm going to go here. I'm going to give you this. See how we can just stack these little things? Look at that. Bam. Done, 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 and done.
Quick question
Yeah.
before you transition. How can you use leather cord with memory wire?
Gauntlet Throne. Let's think on that. While I look for my head pins. You know what you could do? You could, and this is something I've been thinking about actually, and I don't have any leather right here, but you could make some separate, I've been thinking about how to make bangles with like leather, round leather cord. So you could make some like separate leather cord, like little bangles that I would glue. Let's say that this was a bead that had a big hole, and I could glue my leather cord on this side and bring it all the way around and glue my leather cord on this side. So it's like a little bangle that you could slide on, and then you could put that in and amongst your memory wire bracelets. You could also, at the loop, if you had a loop on the end, let's say that we've got a loop here. We've got some really great, what are they called? Like cord crimps or whatever that also have loops on the end. So you could attach some cord, some leather cord with a rounded end loop there, and then maybe have it go for a while and then attach another piece of memory wire. I don't know, and then wrap it around. I don't know. Necessity is also the mother of invention on that one as well. But it's kind of a good thing, a fun kind of creative thing to think about.
How big is the compassion? How wide is our compassion? Excuse
Compassion
me.
suede?
How wide is our compassion suede?
I don't think it's wide. I know what you're saying. You could maybe glue it around.
No.
Oh, then I don't know what you're saying.
Is there somewhere where you can buy thinly, tightly coiled leather where there's kind of like a tube through it?
I don't know. I don't know if I've seen that.
So, a while back,
Let me get my, where are my head pins?
right there.
Right there. If they would have been a head pin snake, they would have bit me.
A while back, there was a design that was sort of going around the interwebs
Once upon a time.
with ribbon strung with pearls on, I believe, soft legs.
yeah.
So basically what happened was, sorry, this is my poor drawing skills. The ribbon, and here's my memory wire, it would be my memory wire. the ribbon was looped around
Right, and pierced with the
and
wire.
pierced with the wire. And I just wondered if we couldn't do that with the compassion suede and the memory wire.
Oh,
And maybe this would be, this one, I thought it was interesting because it formed this very lovely pattern of
Right.
undulations.
right.
But maybe we could do it this way. A couple of things we could do. We could either do it really tight with no bead.
But you'd have to pierce the compassion suede with
Yeah.
like your awl or
No,
something.
I'd do it with my memory wire.
Would you?
I bet it would be stiff enough.
Yeah, we could try
Right.
it.
Just straight through like that.
Right, so it zigzags on
Right.
there.
And then
That'd be
you'd have
cool.
kind of some texture and you could throw a bead on every so often. Right? Or you could actually do big looping loops.
Right, and the wire.
The
would
wire
go
going through with a bead.
That's clever.
What do you think?
You're terribly clever.
I don't know. It might work. Might not.
work.
I mean,
don't
you might
know.
have to
And
pre-punch
if
with your
anybody
awl.
tries it, let us know. We wanna see. There's been a lot of chatter about that.
There's
So,
a bolo leather that you can use.
oh yeah, like
Oh,
bolo
yeah.
cord. Sure, I
And-
bet that would work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's another one. Anyway.
And Deb, I see that you've asked about a close-up of the bracelets. We talked about this a little bit earlier. This is, you can find this on Free Tip Friday, the sleek stacker bracelets. And this one here, this is just our tricks to laddering, and I used just regular shadows for that. So that's what I've got going
Later,
on there.
you're gonna have to talk about.
Yeah, I'll talk about my necklace a little bit at the end.
Mm.
So let's just give you a quick refresher, you guys, on how to wire wrap a dangle. Super easy. We have a really good tutorial on it if you go to our Skill Builders, I guess it's under, right? How to wire wrap a closed loop. But essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab, I've put my beads on my head pin, and I'm going to grab that head pin with my chain nose plier. And I'm going to grab it with the tip of my plier, and I'm bending my wire over the head of the tool so I get a right angle with a little neck below. Can you see that? Now, I'm going to go kind of quickly because, again, this isn't all about wire wrapping, and we've got other resources for you guys to look at, but I just want to make sure that we're on the same page with it. Now I'm going to make my loop, and see how I have the heads of my plier sitting one on top of the other? That roundness of the plier gives me the roundness of my loop when I pull that wire up and over and I just form it around the head of the tool. Okay? Now, in order to wire wrap it, I'm going to open my tool, push the loop on the bottom jaw of the plier, and that opens up the little neck down there that I'm going to wire wrap around. But first I have to position this wire underneath so it's in wire wrapping position. I'm going to take this off, and can you see how there's my loop? But see how my loop, it's just slightly tilted a little bit that way. So I'm going to center the loop right over the head pin so it looks like everything's coming up. You know, if that pin was extending through, it would extend through the center of that loop. Now I'm just going to, I'm right-handed, so I'm going to wire wrap with my dominant hand. And I just get that little wire, and I start from the bottom of the loop in just little wraps, 180 degrees at a time. Notice how I'm using my bent chain nose here, you guys? See how much easier it is for me to wrangle that wire around? They're just like a little pair of bent fingers that I can just wrap.
It's a good word for Gita's collection. Wrangle.
Wrangle, that's right. That's
Wrangle.
another Americanism.
Yeah.
So there we go. We've got that. Now, I've got that little tail of wire. That's when I come and I get my flush cutters, and see how I've got the flush side next to where I've wire wrapped, and I've covered, I'm kind of going to cover so that my little piece of wire, when I cut it off, doesn't go and hit Emily in the head.
Please not.
There we go.
Thank you.
And I'm pushing this down with the little fingers and this will be ready to attach onto the bracelet. Done and done. Okay, so it's that simple. One of the things that I want to tell you before we move on to closing this off, because Emily is almost done stringing that. Where is my...
Trucking along as quick as I can,
Here they are. To make dangles, and this is true when you make earrings as well, or when I make earrings or other things.
Can you turn that piece sideways?
This one?
Yeah. Yeah.
There you go. Sometimes if I don't know what shape to make the dangle, or if I don't really quite know what I want to make, if this is my dangle here, sometimes for a design variation, I just turn it upside down. So instead of having the weighty part at the bottom, I'll have the weighty part up at the top. And I also, and this is how a lot of times I design earrings so quickly. If I don't quite like that design, I'll go, well, I'll keep that together. And maybe
You'll come back to it
I'll
another
come
day.
back to it, or I'll make a slight variation, and I'll go, well, maybe I like this bead better. Oh, yeah, I like the shape of that. But maybe instead of that bead on the top, maybe I like that bead on the bottom. And maybe I want a spacer, and maybe instead of that 4mm bead, I'll use this melon. So you can see kind of the evolution of the design from where I started here with this melon on the bottom, then I switched it up, then I switched it up with a different bead, and then I flipped it back over with the big bead at the bottom. So you kind of have like, what's it called when you're editing a document and you can go back and look at the editing history or whatever. You know, you've got that just right here in front of you.
Earlier versions?
Yeah. You can
Drafts?
default to an earlier draft or an earlier version so you don't struggle to remember, well, what did I change? What did that look like? And then, you know, you can just keep going from there, or you can say, oh, I like all those dangles together, so that's what I'm going to use. And that, indeed, is where I'm going to go with it. So, questions, Gracie?
No, it was a cute comment. Vanessa said, I just thought of how cute these would look as a lampshade trim.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Little dangles, these little dangles.
Nicely they shine light through them nicely.
Right, they have that nice transparency to them. And this is, you guys, in real time, exactly how I would make 2 pairs of earrings. I would go through and I would just do I'd repeat my motion, repeat my motion.
Ah, the assembly line.
The assembly line.
I love an assembly line.
Right, that's how I would do it. And then I would just go here and I'd wire wrap them all. And I know I do make it look easy, but this, you guys have to remember, I'm at work right now. So
That's a good point, isn't it?
you know, this is my job, my job. So if I weren't any good at it, you guys would be all, wow, she's no good at that.
You
So,
have to send her back for retraining.
right, for retraining. And then I don't even cut it off, I just pick up the next one. So my hands get used to doing the same motion, repetitive motion. So I can work faster that way. Come on, I've got a little tiny piece of wire here though, so it's kind of giving me a little sass, which I don't always want. There we go.
What? What do you mean you don't want a little bit of sass?
A
You're
little bit
pretty
of sass.
yourself.
Well, I know,
yourself,
but
you know?
I don't want my beads to give me sass.
Can I have some more beads?
No. Yes.
Wait, what?
Well, and we'll just end that one wherever it is.
I just want the
because-
actually I want the
Which ones do you want?
brass,
Those?
coppers.
Coppers? There
Yes,
you
please.
go.
Thank you. I ran out. I keep using those. Those new temples, I really like
I know,
them.
I like them too.
Super.
So we've got a couple of dangles to put
Super
on the
cute.
end there. And you could also, if you wanted dangles in the body of your piece, you could do that too. All I would do is, I wouldn't put this dangle, and I'm going to use yours, Em, so
Okay.
I can kind of illustrate this point. If I wanted a dangle to really move around nicely, let me cut this extra off here. I wouldn't just slide it on like this and slide another one on. It would be too stiff, and this isn't even the right color of bead, but I want to show you. You could, if it were smaller, like this, a smaller dangle, it would sit kind of like that. But what I might do is I would probably get that 5mm 18 gauge jump ring, put the jump ring on first, and then put one of these guys on so it has a little more movement.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Is the size head pin?
This is the 1.5 inch or 1.5 inch, and I think it's a 24 gauge head pin, the ones that we carry. We also carry a larger head pin, the 2 inch that's in a 20 gauge, that you could also use. It just depends on the size of the bead holes, and these glass beads have pretty big holes, so either one will work. Okay, so I'm just going to straighten everything out, and we'll go ahead and we'll close up that bracelet. Questions on this technique so far?
No,
Any
but
others?
Jackie says that sometimes she straightens the little end of memory wire to get beads on faster than she just clips it off later.
Oh, that's really smart. Yeah. And the thing about this memory wire now is that it's much more malleable than it used to be. Back at the beginning of the broadcast, Emily and I were talking about kind of the old school, the old days, and it was really very difficult to move this memory wire at all, which is why I started to glue the ends way back in the day, because my loops would never stay closed.
Right.
With this, so I think what Jackie was saying is we can straighten out this end. I'll use my chain nose plier here.
Actually, just did that with my fingers a little bit on this one.
Yeah, and
it
can you
worked
see how?
perfectly.
There we
Yeah.
go. That's a really great tip.
Thanks, Jackie.
Super smart.
Never stop learning,
No.
right?
And if I'm putting on these bigger beads like that, it saves that curve. So really, really great tip. I like it. I like it. So for closure, let's bring some closure. We'll go ahead. I'll put a couple of little dangles on the end. I'll use those too. Then I've got its. Maybe I'll do that.
People said those would make great earrings.
They
Dangle
would,
ones.
wouldn't
Yeah.
they? Really kind of cool. And they're what I like to call twins, fraternal twins. They look similar, but they each have their own characteristics. So, and we're just using those small beads. So shall I close it off?
Yeah, whenever you're ready.
So I like to finish, and you can see here's our little glued guy here, and this isn't going anywhere. I think it's nice and sturdy and finished. But for this end, I'll finish with maybe a smaller bead. I don't know. What did Janice use on this guy? Let's see how she
She made
finished it.
loops.
She
On the
looped,
other one,
but
she's 11/0. She did a 3mm check glass and then 11/0.
an 11/0 for the
tip of
for the
wire.
very tip. But for the at the end of the bracelet, you mean? So we tapered it down just a little bit. So, but she does have a chunkier bead here at the end too. So I guess it doesn't really. I was going to say I might prefer to end it with the smaller one, but let me do this. I just want to keep stringing. Just keep stringing. Okay. So I'm going to cut. We want. This is the thing. We don't want our beads to be so tight on here that our beads aren't going to have any movement. Okay, so I want some room physically, but visually I don't want to see a big space there. Does that make sense? So I'm going to come in, I'm going to cut, I don't know, I'm going to leave about 1/4 of an inch or so. Which cutter am I using, Emily Miller?
Memory wire cutter.
That's right, my memory wire cutter.
You know, if it's a struggle for you to remember not to use the wrong cutter or to use the correct cutter, don't even get the wrong one out when you're cutting,
Yeah.
working with memory wire.
Just-
leave it in your toolbox
Yep.
so that you have to really consciously make a get up,
An
move
effort,
around
yeah,
to get to it.
to get there.
Yep.
So now I'm just going to roll this closed. Roll it closed, roll it closed, roll it closed. And you can see I'm going to, like I did earlier, I bypass it a little bit and then I pull it back just a little. And you can see I've got a little bit of extra room, but that little extra room gives me some movement, so it makes the beads not so super tight. Now, all I'm going to do is I'm going to open up this loop, just like so, and I'm going to slide. I'm going to put 2 on here. I think Janice has 2 on the other one, doesn't she?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think she has 2 on one and maybe 3 on the other.
Whatever works for you. Then I'm trying to show the camera, so I'm in a little bit of an awkward position. And then if I want to kind of straighten that loop out a little bit, I can grab it and bend it back just a little even so I can center it. I could never do this on old memory wire. The thing also that you really want to be careful with, though, and I have not had it happen to me, and Emily, maybe you have, is when you're working with hardened wire like this, you can fatigue it and it can break.
You know, I have not had that
Whoops.
happen with me with memory wire.
That didn't close all the way. There we go.
You know, I've had that metal fatigue happen with other types of
go.
wire, but I've not ever had it happen with memory wire.
I haven't either.
And usually I think it's because you're only bending it a couple of times. Yeah.
So there's our little
goodness.
little dangles.
You know, it's funny. Sometimes you thought one bead was going to stand out, or really, these rondelles,
They look amazing.
they
don't
look amazing.
I'm going to put
They
this
look
on.
like a really expensive stone. Yeah,
Look at that.
look at that.
And that's the 2 1/4 inch. And you can see the difference on my wrist. I can almost put this on like a bangle.
Right.
This is the 2 1/2. And we also mentioned the oval. And I know a lot of you are oval devotees. And the oval, I think, probably fits even probably tighter. It'd be probably
I would
pretty
imagine,
comfortable.
yeah.
So, but you can see kind of the difference.
And these longer beads definitely help with stretching out the memory wire a little bit. So they're influencing the curve for sure.
But I'll let you put this guy on because I think
Okay.
it fits your wrist a
Oh, it
little
really
bit
fits
better.
me nicely.
Yeah. So, Bran, I think we can probably move the camera up a little bit.
Back to the normal position.
Back to where we are.
Back to normal.
Right? People are saying, yeah, they do dangle. They do make a little bit of noise, which I like.
I think Kim was saying it reminds her of shells on the beach.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or like your old-fashioned charm bracelets.
Yep.
You know.
How many charm bracelets do you have now?
I am working on charm bracelet number 6.
Awesome.
You know the charm bracelet you gave me last year for my birthday? That's in the works.
Mhm.
I have it together, putting the charms I've gathered over the year. I love a charm bracelet. I love it. There's a blog post about our charm bracelets. I think on our blog post, The Bead Table, Cara and I brought our charm bracelets in. We talk about them. Yes,
Mine too.
and yours too, right? You do have yours too, Gracie. I remember, Gracie, you took the photos, but I was like, that's right. All 3 of us, we had our charm bracelets.
I'll have to bring mine
We
in
love
someday.
them in, yeah. So, but they're really fun. So, any final questions?
thoughts?
Did we do good? Did we do well?
Everyone loves them.
So, just as a reminder, you guys, on beadshop.com, you can find under the project, you can find if you go to the project page. We did a nifty new little graphic. I don't even know if I can pull
It's
it up.
a
but-
recipe.
Oh, and your necklace.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, and I'll show my necklace, though it's not quite done, but I'll show you guys. You guys will laugh when you see the back of it. Let me go here to the projects. So if we go to our project page, and you guys know I'm going to pull this around so you guys can see it. Here on our website, if you go to projects, you're going to pull up all of the projects with our most recent ones kind of up in the top left. If I click on that, you can see we're going to replace Into the Sea with our finished one that we did. But here's the patterning with memory wire recipe. So if you wanted to venture out on your own, or if we're sold out of some of our components for our other ones, you'll be able to just come right here and, like if we're going 1 package 1.5 head pins, I just click on that,
Mm-hmm.
and it takes us to all the head pins that you need, and so on throughout the recipe. So you can just pull things right into your cart that way.
I love having a recipe like that. You know, they do it for cooking too. Some of the recipe sites where you go, you
Oh.
can click and it'll make you a grocery list.
Really, I
Yeah.
like the sound
Yeah.
of that. I did not know. I did not know.
It's cool.
I like it.
Cool stuff.
Your necklace.
Oh, thank you for
Oh,
reminding
yeah.
me. Okay, so the necklace. So you guys are going to totally laugh. So I've wanted to make this necklace for so long. These are using our Harmony Adventuring. It's our faceted 8mm, I think, Adventuring.
Delicious.
This is, I think, my favorite gemstone right now. You know, you guys know I love shadows, but this gemstone I love so much. And this was, last year we were at the Bay Area Bead Extravaganza show here in the Bay Area, and we saw our old buddy Tom Boylan, and this is one of his lampwork beads. And I thought it would go really, really well. This kind of ties into what you're going to be doing next week, Emily,
Yeah, a
which is
little knotting.
doing some knotting with a bunch of different kinds of beads and things. I actually got a phone call earlier this week from a customer, and I'm sorry I can't remember her name, but I know that you watch our Facebook Live. She was doing some mala work, and we were talking about things that she could use to knot with, and we settled on the 0.4mm Chinese knotting cord.
Yeah.
And so that's what I used for these big beads. I used just a double strand of that because I wanted to see how it worked, and then I used some rondelles and stuff. So that's the 0.4mm Chinese knotting cord that I doubled over. And you guys, like I said, you're going to totally laugh. I haven't clasped it, closed it off. I was wearing it with our bead stopper at the back. So
you know when you
There
when you
was
see
no-
a modeling shoot and all the models
Right.
look really great from the front.
From the
In
front.
the back, everything's like tucked
everything
and
has
taped and
like
clothespins
So
and whatever it
that's my
takes to hold it
clasp right
together.
now.
Yeah,
So,
it's okay.
but I've got some ideas about how I wanted to close it, so that's why.
Maybe
This
some
is the
macrame and a
clasp.
button.
That's maybe. You never know what's going to happen.
A Kate Richburg
but
button.
I've got a long tails. Maybe you never know. So that's what was closing this in the back. So you guys totally busted me.
Well, Debbie calls it
Totally
the new
busted.
class.
That's right. It's the new class. Totally. So
It's reusable.
it is.
Extendable.
Yeah, it's so 21st century. So reusable, recycle, reuse, renew. Right?
Repurpose.
Repurpose.
Right.
Well, let's wrap this show. We've got a couple of things. We've got an amazing giveaway that I did for you guys, just special. Super special. Do you have the bag? Where's that giveaway? There it is. So you guys know,
This one might be mine right over here.
right over
I
there.
need
You're just
those
gonna
earrings. I
you're
need
just
those.
gonna take it away. You know that we did the paletting with glass today, and the glass I just love. Our check glass is really, really beautiful. When we were ordering in the supplies, I got some special glass that we don't carry on the website. It's check glass. And I thought it would be fun to give away things that we don't really even carry. So you can see this is all check glass.
Lift it up.
We've got some little bicones there.
Even just a little bit higher.
We've got, is this okay, Brad?
That
These-
bead's that bead's
bead,
making me
is that
crazy.
making you crazy?
It is. It's going to be
We've
earrings
got some
before I
little
leave.
check,
Just more towards you, I guess.
oh, more towards me.
Yeah.
Some little check drops. We've got a little flower cap there, and we've got these leaves. So I thought it would be a fun little fall mix. It's also, I think, a fun way for you to get started with a little palette if you wanted to kind of do your own little recipe, but it's nice in these greens. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to dump those out and dump these
Oh,
in
yeah,
this little
there you
bowl
go.
so you guys can kind of see it maybe a little bit
But
better.
how
I
cute
don't
are
know,
those
Brand.
for earrings, right
You can
there?
see that, yeah. It's a great, this kind of little, I don't know, kind of little honeycomb or
Like a
stacker
cone,
or
I guess.
something. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think they're really cool. So that's the giveaway today. And today is Wednesday, October 18th. And like all of our giveaways, we do our giveaways for about an hour afterwards. So if you place an order on beadshop.com before 1 p.m. today, Pacific time, because we're on the West Coast, and you write, check please, in your shipping notes, we will throw in your little bag of exclusive check glass bead minis. We'll throw those right at you. And today, for our Facebook viewers, we like to give you a little something special. So we've got a store-wide, if you want to knock 15% off of everything that's in your shopping cart between right now and the end of the day, midnight Pacific time today, 10/18/2017. Just add in your coupon code box LIVE15. Okay, so that's what we've got. Next week, you guys, we're going to come at you on Tuesday. Janice and I will be in Cleveland. Live from Beads, Baubles, and Jewels. You'll get to see Katie Hacker, and you'll get to see some behind-the-scenes stuff. And again, I don't even know who I'm filming with, so it's going to be a surprise for me and for you guys, but we'll create some great moments on Facebook Live for you. Next Wednesday, Emily and I bet Gracie will be here with her, and we'll do some nodding.
What do you think?
It's going to be really fun.
Cool.
And then I'll be coming at you later in the week, live from Bead Fest Tacoma. This Friday, I've got a great Free Tip Friday kind of cooking up for you. So I'll see you on Friday for Free Tip Friday. But this is really fun.
It was, I know. I mean, it's kind of a throwback materials, you know?
Yeah, I love it. There we are. Our memory wires.
Go back.
There we go. Get on your wrist. Good one.
Get on my wrist.
Right.
Quick question.
Yes.
Sure.
Tacoma, what time on Tuesday? Or not Tacoma, Cleveland.
Oh, for Cleveland. You know, watch your newsletters, you guys, because I don't have actually my call time yet, so I'm not really sure what time I'm actually... I'm so fancy. My call time. So I'll let you guys know in the newsletter, especially on if you open your newsletter on Monday, it'll have some details about that. And I'll also post it on the Facebook Live page. But my guess is will be Cleveland time, so I don't know even what time that is. Might be Central. I don't know. I have to check. But we'll post it on the Facebook page so you guys will know. And it'll always be there for replay. But I'll be super glad to have your support as I go on to film not one, not two, but 3 segments.
You're going to do 3 segments in one day?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God, you're nuts.
One take Richburg. I'm ready. All right, you guys. We'll see you on Friday for Free Tip Friday. Stay creative. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.